Next order of business is a roll call.
Okay. Mayor Roland Dykes.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mike Profit.
Here.
Alderman Mike Hansel.
Here.
Alderman Connie Ball.
Here.
Alderman Steve Smith.
Here.
City Attorney Terry Hurst.
Here.
City Administrator James Fincham.
Here.
Thank you, Tina. Next order of business is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of regular session, December 14th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion on the board to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, regular session, December 14th, 2021. It has been properly seconded. Are there any questions to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. We need a vote, please. I'm sorry, run on roll call. All in favor? Aye. All in nays, like sign. Thank you. Item 4 is proclamations and a recognition of citizens by the mayor, which I have none at the moment.
Mayor, I'd just like to say, in regards to Bobby, I was telling Coach earlier, you knew where you stood with Bobby. If he said yes, he meant yes. If he said no, he meant no. I'd like to congratulate our local media outlets. I thought they did a fantastic job on his write-ups and covering his funeral arrangements and things of that nature. And I saw a lot of words that describe Bobby, like honesty, integrity, a number of different words. And, you know, at the end of our days, any of us, if we can get a third of that said about any of us, we're doing a good job. Bobby was a good alderman, a good friend, and I'll miss him.
Just like that one preacher said, he was precious, precious soul, that's for sure.
I want to tell all the department heads, I usually do this every week, every time we meet, but all the department heads for doing your job. I saw a lot of effort out of all of you in your jobs, your streets and your recreation, the whole bunch, everyone of the fire department working together. I saw them directing traffic and doing all that stuff, police department, everything. Yeah, everybody working together, and we really appreciate that, the effort y'all give.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, guys. Item 5 is communications from the city administrator, Mr. Finch.
Thank you, Mayor. And the first thing I'd like to do is to thank former mayor and currently newly minted council member Connie Ball for willing to help us out in this time of need. Bobby was a big loss and a shock. Even though he'd been struggling with his health a little bit, it was still a shock how quick he went down there at the end. And so you know, all the city government was kind of in a tailspin a little bit there, and Connie willing to step up to the plate and help us out is a big deal for us. And I've told him this privately, but I'll say it publicly. I truly appreciate his willingness to come back and step in and help us out, because you know, there were, like you said, there's a lot of good words that were used about Bobby, and I dare say that a lot of those same words could be used about Connie Ball. And I think he's one of the few people that could step into those shoes and will not miss a beat by it, as much as that's possible. But you can't replace somebody like Bobby, but you can do your best to try not to lose any ground, and I don't feel like we lost any ground.
Thank you.
James, if I may,
Yes, sir.
I forgot one thing. We were missing, most of us probably noticed we're missing one alderman. Alderwoman Luann Ottinger is ill today. She would like to have been here, but she is in quarantine. So that's if I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you. On our COVID update, since the last meeting, we've been hit pretty hard. We've had some out at City Hall. We've had people out at the fire department, the street department, the police department. We probably had our worst month of the pandemic from a city employee government status since the last month. And this Omicron has really bit us. And we were fortunate there for the first couple of years in it that we seemed to escape it pretty good, but it's kind of caught up with us now at this point. but we're hanging in there and filling in, and the police and fire department in particular have really had to work hard to try to keep the shifts covered and everything done with as many as they've had sick at one time. The one thing that we need to do and need to ask is that we add something to the agenda tonight. We had, it was in the budget, and we had intended to lease 2 garbage trucks this year, and we ordered them back before the first of the year. And with things being what they are, everything's gotten dragged out. Well, as of January 1st, and Tina may have to explain this better because she can do a much better job of it than I can, because I can only repeat how she's explained it to me. But as of January the 1st, the state put new guidelines in play on lease agreements on vehicles of any kind, whether it's a car, truck, garbage truck, fire truck, whatever, any kind of a vehicle. And now you have to, everything has to go to them before it comes back here, and then you have to bid out lease agreements. Before this, we never had to do that. In a lease agreement, like if you bought something, if Ford Motor Company has the bid, then, and you lease through Ford Motor Company, you go through Ford Credit, and it's just an automatic thing. That's how they do business. Well, now the state of Tennessee won't allow you to do that. You have to bid out your leases and try to get different companies to bid on a lease. And I think it's ridiculous, but it's just more bureaucracy that serves no purpose. But anyway, it is what it is. So now, because that even though it was set in motion, these trucks were ordered back in before the first of the year, several months back, because we're not going to get them until after the first of the year. We were going to have to go through all that rigmarole. So what we would like to do is say to heck with it and just buy them, not lease them, just pay for them. We've got the money, we can afford to do it. So instead of having to go through all these hoops that the comptroller has put in place for us to have to do a lease agreement, it'll take us months to go through all the steps. And so Tina approached me and explained it to me and said that we had the money to buy them, and she would like to because they're liable to come any day now, and we need to be able to take delivery of them when they come. But if we have to go through this 2 or 3 month process to get a lease in place, that's going to throw everything out of whack. So I'd appreciate it if y'all could put that on the agenda for tonight and let you all vote on whether or not to buy these trucks. And
that would require a waiver of the rules.
Yes, sir. And to add it to the agenda.
To add it to the agenda.
Yes, sir.
We need someone to make a motion to
Suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rule.
And add this item to the agenda.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion on the board then to suspend the rules to add this item to the agenda. It's been properly seconded. Please signify your acceptance by the normal sign of aye.
Aye.
Nays, like sign.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
We appreciate it. It'll save us a lot of aggravation, save us a little money, because we won't have to pay the
Leasing.
leasing fees. So
You can't comprehend how many times I hear people say, you know, the city's got stuff to work with, you know, every department's got stuff to work with, you know, sometimes they hadn't had. And, you know, I know people don't like taxes sometimes, but it saved a lot of money by go ahead and get some equipment and stuff we can work with. Not having to repair every time.
Well, the garbage trucks, they're on the road every day, all day, and you know, they're like any vehicle. They have a lifespan, and once you exceed that lifespan, then they start staying tore up all the time. And we're starting to have to work on these pretty regular. So they have maintained the lifespan that they were supposed to maintain when we bought them. So it's time, they're due to be replaced. and that's why we had it in the budget to replace them this year. Tina does a really good job of working with the departments to plan ahead of when that this equipment reaches that expiration date, and planning to replace them when the time is due. And we knew that was this year, but we were going to do it with a 3-year lease to not have to spend everything out at one time and spread it out over 3 years. But now that and we may have to start looking at more of this now that they've made it so hard to do a lease. I don't get the idea how they think they're saving money. The shorts, they'll save you the fees, but to make you jump through a bunch more hoops, there's not that much. It's like $6,000 is what we'll save. Okay, if a leasing company is making $6,000 over 3 years, that's $2,000 a year. That's not a lot of money for a garbage truck, as much as a garbage truck, for 2 garbage trucks, as much as a garbage truck costs. So they're not making much money. These leasing companies aren't. And so how you're going to, through the bidding process, they think you're going to save a bunch of money. I don't get it. There's not a bunch of money to be saved when it's, when it's that amount of money that you're spending extra on top of what you're going to spend to buy. So the competitive, the idea of competition is to drive the cost down. And when it's that low to begin with, you can't drive it far. It don't have how far it can go. But anyway, I'll get off that. But it's just one more annoying thing that puts a lot more work on us, Tina in particular, and having to come in here multiple times just to be able to try to do a lease agreement.
I appreciate the job you do to keep everybody straight.
Thank you.
I remember a time leasing was kind of frowned upon. People kind of considered it foolish, but it became an acceptable practice. But I think anytime
You
you
can
can
all
own
spend all your money at one
as
time.
opposed to leasing, we're better off.
Well, it just, it helps you from depleting your reserves. You can spread it out over, most leases are 3 years. You can spread the lease out. You've got 3 years to divvy up that cost. And like I say, with minimal fee cost. And so, which we can afford, we can afford to go ahead and buy them and not have to go through all this trouble. But that may not always be the case, that you don't, when it comes time to buy a ladder truck for nearly $1 million or a slew of police cars again, we may not have the money to be able to do it all in one lift. So fortunately, right now we can, so that's our recommendation. But anyway, that's, I've fussed enough about that. But it was just something and she tried to convince the controller's office, look, this was all done, technically it was all done last year, and it's the guy, I blame the salesman, and I hate to just throw him on the bus, but if he had got his paperwork done in a timely manner, it would have all been done prior to the first of the year, and we wouldn't have been susceptible to falling under that new rule. But because he hadn't got his paperwork done, that date on there is going to be after January 1, so that was the trap. Anyway, moving on. The last thing I have is just for information purposes, and probably everybody knows, I didn't know till yesterday. I guess that's how far out of the loop I've been, where I was off through the holidays. But if anybody doesn't know, Newport Dry Goods is closing. New Dry Goods has been here as long as I can remember. I remember going to it when I was a kid and going there and getting school clothes and everything. And so it's an institution of Newport that's going to be hard to replace. And I'm sad to say that it is closing. Carol is retiring, and hopefully something will come along to move into that space. But it's just, I think it's a sad day to see Dry Goods go, and I just wanted to put that out there in case anybody didn't know it, because I did not know it till yesterday. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6 is, consideration of reappointment of Police Civil Service Board Christopher Eric Gregg.
I think that one is the policeman's, isn't it, Chief? That's the one that the police department appoints, and I think that's just to announce that they reappointed him.
Oh, okay. All right. So we don't need a vote or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, item 7, reports from committees, members of council, and other officers. The only item is Tanner Preservation Alliance. Gary, do you have anything? Item 8 is old business, unfinished business. Item A is consideration of the second reading of ordinance number 2021-12, zoning for property on West Highway 2570.
And Mayor, I think, and Gary can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the final nail in the lid on this process.
We hope.
And Mayor, I'll read the caption of that ordinance into the record. Ordinance 2021-12, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Newport to include 1026 West Highway 2570 in the C-2 zone. This will be the second reading.
You'd like to add anything?
No, that's it. We just got to properly zone them in the business district.
Okay.
That's I'm thinking that's the last thing I have to bring before you as far as the annexation of one piece of property.
We need a motion.
To accept the second reading of the 2021-12.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the board then to accept consideration of second reading of ordinance number 2021-12, zoning for property on West Highway 2570. It has been properly seconded. Are there questions to the motion? If not, we'll need a roll call.
Alderman Mike Hansel.
Yes.
Alderman Connie Ball.
Yes.
Alderman Steve Smith.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mike Profit.
Yes.
Motion carries without opposition. Thank you. Under new business, we're going to kind of invert this a little bit in consideration of timing for one of our members here. Consideration of Parks and Recreation seasonal employees to be classified as part-time employees.
That shows you we follow in the wrath of Tina too. This is what we're requesting is a reclassification of our lifeguards at the Parks and Recreation Department. Right now we have them listed as seasonal employees and we're working them year-round. So in the first, second, third, fourth quarter, they're still working for us doing, it can be from trick or treat, it can be from the Halloween, it can be from working at the community center, it can be helping us with the swim teams. There's tons of stuff that they do year-round, and right now we're looking to reclassify them from a seasonal employment to a part-time. And as I understand that the council can only create part-time positions. And
all positions.
All positions, excuse me. And in the process of that, it's not one of these that they make 25 or they get 28, 30 hours a week. Some of them only get 4 hours a week. Some get 10 hours a week. Some may get 20 hours a week, but most of the time it's less. And so we, parents don't like for their children to work during the school year, and sometimes they can only work during Saturdays and Sundays. And they don't like them working on school nights. So that's why we're reclassifying. It's not asking for new money. We're not asking for new monies. This is actually in the seasonal, and we would just move that over into part-time. And I begged Tina if I got stuck here to help me. So have I cleared?
You're doing good.
I did good. So we're asking for reclassification of 11 of the lifeguards. Even though it might change in person, that in that position as a part-time employment, but we would still have that job in there for 11 lifeguards.
It's been helping you save employees too, isn't it? Keep
Yes.
them going somewhere else.
Yes, what the council has done for full-time and part-time employment for Parks and Rec has been a blessing. And again, let me say thank you for that. And I've told James many a times that he saved us because we were losing all of our people to other jobs. Dollywood paying $16, $20 an hour. You know, we were losing a lot of people. So this saved us.
I volunteered to come out of retirement, and he wouldn't go for it.
He wanted to wear a Speedo that he wore years ago.
That's an image I did not need.
I think I speak for the rest.
It burnt.
I think I speak for rest council with you for that.
It burnt.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve this item.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion then on the board to approve the consideration of Parks and Rec seasonal employees to be reclassified as part-time employees. It's been properly seconded. Are there questions to the motion? Hearing none, please signify your acceptance by normal sign of aye.
Aye.
Any nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you, council.
Thank
And
you.
if I may, can I be excused? We have some grammar school ball games that we would like to be present at real quick, and plus it's homecoming, and I know Terry Hurst wants to get there very quickly too.
I think you would if you...
So I'm going to be ahead of him if you will excuse me. Thank you.
You excuse. Terry, you have to stay for a little longer.
I'm good, Mayor.
Not much longer, Terry.
Okay, let me find my agenda. Okay, what did I do with it? All right. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the first reading of ordinance number 2022-01, budget amendment for the city of Newport.
Appreciate the job you do, Tim.
I'm just here if you got questions.
Oh, I didn't think Terry's going to read it to captain.
This is, well, just quickly, some of this is monies to be brought forward out of last year's budget where we didn't get it spent, and some of it's new money. But this is to finalize the storm drain project downtown that got drug out so long, trying to get under the railroad track where the railroad held us up forever. And we hit some snags with one of the architects, and we got those all worked out. And so we're finally in a position where we can close that thing out once and for all after all the problems we hit with it, with the tank and the railroad and everything combined. So hopefully we can write this check. Once we get 2 readings of this, we can write this check and put this thing in the rearview mirror.
We've applied for a pre-application for an ARC that'll do phase 2 of the storm drain project, and the hope is to not ever have to go to tie into the new trunk line that we made and never have to go under the railroad track ever again.
Amen.
And Mayor, I'll read the caption into the record. It's ordinance 2022-01, an ordinance of amending the annual operating budget and capital program for the city of Newport, Tennessee, fiscal year 2021-2022.
Okay, what's the board's pleasure? We need roll call. I'm sorry, we need a motion first, yeah. Go ahead.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the board then to approve an ordinance to amend the annual operating budget and capital program of the city of Newport, Tennessee, fiscal year 2021-2022. It has been properly seconded. Are there questions to the motion? Hearing none, we need roll call.
Alderman Mike Hansel,
Yes.
Alderman Connie Ball,
Yes.
Alderman Steve Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mike Profit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10 is the item that was just added to the agenda, garbage truck lease agreements.
On these, like James has already discussed, because of the new rules, we would not be able to meet state requirements before the trucks are delivered. They're ready within a few weeks. And this process is not only going to add a lot of time to any kind of lease, but it's any kind of debt. So going forward, anytime there's any kind of loan or debt that the city needs to go into, that's going to have to back it up quite a bit. And like he said, I tried, and they would not grandfather this one in because we didn't have the technical lease agreement done in that time frame. The dollars are already budgeted in there to be a debt payment in full, so we can record properly. This would just be moving it out of the operating budget and moving it over into capital and adding that to our budget for this year. So next month, when we have the second reading of this budget amendment, I would just add those transactions in to properly record and budget it. And I would ask that if you please vote to buy these 2 trucks and let us pay outright.
I'll make a motion, we do that.
Thank you.
If we do that? Do what?
Well, she made so many words out of it. If it had been simple, we could've got that over.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Then we do it.
Do it. Okay, we have a motion on the board to approve the lease agreement for the garbage trucks. It has been properly seconded. Are there questions to that motion? Hearing none, we will need a roll call.
Alderman Mike Hansel,
Yes.
Alderman Connie Ball,
Yes.
Alderman Steve Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mike Profit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 11 is comments from citizens.
I don't see any. Employees and media.
Employees and media.
Employees and media.
Narrowed it down.
Okay.
What about employees?
I guess employees are citizens, but they probably don't have anything to say. In that case, item 12, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Connie, do
I'll
that.
make that motion.
Right.
I'll get on the hooks.